It appears to be an assassination attempt.
I had my security officer, who is a GSE officer, shout at him, "Those are bullets, don't stop, get moving."
Code reacts angrily as Wetangula escapes gun attack. But was it an assassination attempt?
I have been trying very hard to dismantle cartels and brokers that have been working in the Department of Immigration.
Why Kenda on the defensive as anti-graft body digs for answers on work permits? And facing east, why the Chinese contractors are swallowing mega and minor contracts.
Friday Briefing 2014. This year you can expect nothing less but comprehensive news coverage and of course a twist in how we deliver the news to you. Well, tonight our reporters have the latest updates on various events, and in studio with me is a father and son who are not only very close but amazing dancers. There we go. There they are, Kanda King and Kanda Kid, renowned dancers doing what they do best. Right, they will be joining us in just a short while. But let me also remind you that another important member of the Friday Briefing team, Willis the Wordmaster, is standing by in Kisumu County, and he will be joining us in a few minutes to let us know how to pronounce some of those troublesome words that you have sent in. But first of all, let's take a look at the stories making headlines. We begin with the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy's reaction on the incident they insist was an assassination attempt on Senator Moses Wetangula. CORD wants immediate and thorough investigations into the attack by gunmen last night on the Bungoma senator. And as KTN Samugena reports, Wetangula has linked the attack to his criticism of the standard gauge railway tender.
CORD leaders have reacted sharply to the news that their co-principal Moses Wetangula was shot at last night. They are demanding for speedy investigations, claiming the incident amounts to an assassination attempt.
Naweza kusema kwamba ni kwa sababu ya msimamo kisiasa na uongozi mara na thabiti ya Senator Moses Wetangula.
This is, I think, the first attempted assassination of a political leader in this regime. We really want to tell government to pull its socks.
The administration need to be told, and they should be aware that we are not ready to accept and move on, as they usually say, of any other murder that we have just seen attempted on.
Police have already launched investigations into the incident that saw the Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula's car attacked by an unknown gunman a few minutes to midnight last night. Ballistic experts combed through Wetangula's vehicle that had at least 3 bullet marks and several scratches on the right side of the vehicle, inspecting the car that has now been parked at the Kilimani police station.
The initial report was a shooting incident, and we have called in the experts to verify that theory.
The incident occurred near the city mortuary when the senator was driving to his current home. When he was approaching the mortuary roundabout from Bagathi Way, he says shots were fired towards his vehicle, but the agility of his driver saved the senator's life.
Near city mortuary, we had a loud bang on the car. I was on phone. It was so loud that I dropped the phone out of fright. My driver slowed down. Then I had my security officer, who is a GSE officer, shout at him, "Those are bullets, don't stop, get moving."
That is what will actually exonerate the government. If it was not an attempt on his life, who did it?
and why. You see? So these are people whom the government is capable of getting.
Wetangula has linked the shooting saga to the contested standard gauge railway tender. He has sensationally claimed the railway tender was a raw deal, as the 220 billion shillings price tag has been hugely inflated.
Wachana na mambo ya reli.
Producing a text message, Wetangula claims he has been threatened previously over his stand on the railway tender.
I take this as an assassination attempt. You know, this country has a history of political killings and assassinations, and we don't want to take this as just one of the incidents of thuggery. If you look at where the incident occurred, it's not very far away from a roundabout where there are usually police officers deployed, and that somebody should choose to stand the place which is so close to a roundabout actually speaks volumes about this incident. And there was also an escape car which was waiting by where this incident occurred. Last week, after I spoke about the railway tender, I received a call from a person whose number I saved and I've given to the police, who said, "Wachana na mambo ya reli."
Last year, 10th of September, Wetangula petitioned the Inspector General of Police requesting for beefing up of his security owing to his political creed. CORD has decried the general status of security in the country, rapping the state for laxity. Samugina, KTN.
Well, and that story forms the basis of our big question tonight, and we are asking, do you think the gun attack on the Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula was an assassination attempt? Do you think the gun attack on the Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula was an assassination attempt? The number is 2215. We'll be glad to hear from you. You can also tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Betty Kialo, or with a hashtag Friday Briefing, and we'll sample your views as we move along. Now, anti-corruption officers have narrowed their investigations down to 7 officials of the Immigration Department in the probe on alleged irregular issuance of work permits to foreigners. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is investigating the circumstances under which 300 permits were allegedly issued irregularly and dozens of citizenships given. KTN's James Smart reports.
Those cartels are vicious, and corruption fights back fiercely.
This was the explanation given by Head of Immigration Jane Waikenda yesterday, minutes after she was discharged from the hospital. She had reportedly fainted just as she was heading into a grilling session with anti-corruption officers at Integrity Center. And a day later, details are now emerging of the nature and extent of the investigations. The Anti-Corruption Agency, according to the documents, is keen to find out whether indeed the director called for the night meeting where the permits are alleged to have been issued. This would be in contravention of protocol which would have otherwise required an interministerial committee composed of no less than 4 ministries. Yesterday, the acting director of immigration denied these allegations.
I have been trying very hard to dismantle cartels.
The revelations into what is now turning to be the focus of investigations center around some 14 million shillings allegedly paid to her and allegedly misleading the cabinet secretary to irregularly issue citizenship to 10 individuals. James Smart, KTN.
Now, the Kenya Defense Forces reported today that they have killed 30 Somali militants, including Al-Shabaab commanders, in an airstrike on a Somali camp near the border with Kenya and Ethiopia. Now, according to the BBC, Somali media reports put the number of dead at 10, and residents say there has been a lot of destruction. Military spokesperson Major Emmanuel Churchur said the airstrike missed Al-Shabaab leader Ahmed Godane by 30 minutes. According to the Kenya Defense Forces Twitter account, more than 5 vehicles and key assets had been destroyed. The KDF, however, did not name the Islamist commanders they said had been killed. The attack comes 3 months after Islamist attackers linked to the Al-Shabaab took over Westgate Shopping Center in Nairobi in a siege that left at least 67 people dead. Now, members of parliament representing special interest groups have threatened to go to court if President Uhuru Kenyatta continues making appointments that contravene the constitution. Led by ODM-nominated MP Isaac Mwaura, the MPs say the recent appointments made by the president do not give people with disabilities a fair chance. The MPs say the appointment of one person with disability as a principal secretary is not enough.
We, as members of parliament, are concerned about the non-appointment of persons with disabilities to parastatal positions, yet the government is supposed to implement the 5% inclusion of persons with disabilities in all elective and appointee positions as per the constitutional provisions. We note that of the more than 40 appointments, no single person with disability has been appointed.
I would like to request the president and the government to begin intentionally getting new people into chances of leadership instead of recycling those who have been there, if we are serious about pursuing the Vision 2030.
Now, once again, President Uhuru Kenyatta has given the ultimatum to his cabinet secretaries to show they can handle their jobs or go home. But as KTN's Adelaide Changola reports, President Uhuru Kenyatta himself is just dispersing the pressure his government is under to prove that they are not busy undertaking white elephant projects.
It has become a common thing in Kenya for the government to start a project, spend billions of taxpayer shillings on it, only for it to end up being a white elephant because of mismanagement. Several years later, the government will pump more money into these projects, only for them to fail again.
Miaka tatu iliyopita tulitembea hapa na Mheshimiwa Rais Kibaki, nilikuwa waziri wa fedha, tukiwa tumekuja kuzundua mradi mwingine hapa Bura wa irrigation pia. Na mpaka wa sasa mimi sijawahi kuona matunda ya hiyo mradi.
But speaking during the groundbreaking of the 1 million acre irrigation project in Galana Ranch, the president said the days when people could mismanage promising projects to oblivion are over.
2014 is the year that the Jubilee Manifesto comes alive.
Na hivyo ndivyo nataka tukubaliane. Tunataka kazi ifanywe, sio mambo ya kuongea. Hakuna ya kuongea, ni kufanya kazi.
Cabinet secretaries and their deputies were not spared either, with the president saying he would expect nothing less than full delivery of their mandates.
Wao makatibu ambao mimi nimepatia kazi wanisaidie, hao pia wako na mwaka huu. Kama hawawezi kunionyesha yale ambayo wamefanya, wawe tayari kupanga virago tulete wengine ndio tuweze kutimiza yale ambao tumeahidia Wakenya.
Uhuru pointed out that his second term was hinged on the delivery of his promises to the Kenyan people, and he would not allow his ambition of growing the economy, reducing the cost of living and providing employment to millions of jobless youth to be deemed by the failures of others.
Hata mimi kengele bado iko karibu kupigwa baada ya miaka mitano. Lazima nirudi kwa wananchi niwaoneshe vile nimefanya. Kweli ya uongo?
And Uhuru is pegging his legacy on being able to deliver on the mega projects that will make tangible changes to the lives of citizens.
We expect sio kuona mapicture mazuri yale mmetuonesha pale. Hayo mapicture tunataka kuyaona ikiwa kule kwa shambani sasa. Hiyo ndio tunataka kuona. Ndio tujue ya kwamba kazi kweli inafanyika.
The question is whether the Jubilee government will change history by ensuring the successful implementation of projects. This comes hot on the heels of the much-hyped Hola irrigation project, which Kenyans hardly ever hear about today.
Wale ambao walikuwa wanatakikana kuchunguza hiyo maneno, mimi nitafuatilia. Kama ni hapa ambaye tumetoka, mimi natarajia kwamba nitarudi hapa. Nikirudi hapa nione ni hiyo tu mimi nimefanya kidogo hapo na hapo, watu wajue basi ni saa ya kuhama. Hata hakuna faida ya kuja mkutano, kwa sababu kazi itakuwa imeisha.
This is the largest food-based project to be launched in the post-Moi era. Adelaide Changole, KTN.
Now, there are fears that the Chinese are taking over business in Kenya and pushing out local businessmen and women. And forget the standard gauge railway matter. There are Chinese companies building houses, water pans, and even pit latrines in informal settlements. All jobs that could have been done by local companies. And as KTN's Catherine Omanto reports, this new Oriental wave has some legislators really worried.
As any fast economy, Kenya and Africa at large has attracted the attention of economic giants like China. But the rush with which Kenya is handing over nearly every contract in town to Chinese contractors has raised eyebrows. Questions are being asked as to why local contractors are not getting even minor contracts they are more than capable of handling.
Having outcompeted, outmuscled other foreign companies in big contracts, now they're coming down to the smaller projects. To an extent, now they're also pushing out small and medium size Kenyan companies.
The Kenyan government recently adjusted its foreign policy that now dictates that it will do business with friends of Kenya. So China, a state that has a strict non-interference policy, is more than willing to be Kenya's new best friend. But according to economist Kwame Owino, foreign policy has little to do with the way Kenya is doing business nowadays, but it has more to do with Kenya's relation with Chinese companies. Chinese companies tend to give cheaper offers to the willing buyer.
What they do is through negative, what we will call through negative competition, in that for them they don't pay what's called the corporate tax that the Kenyan businessman paid, which is 30% of any profits you make. So what they do at any contract, they will quote less than 30% of what a medium or a small size Kenyan company will quote.
Chinese companies also have a way of referring the willing buyer to a company that can do feasibility tests, another that can provide cheap labor, and another entity that can provide funding. Incidentally, all these pseudo companies will most likely be Chinese. So you have a company that is servicing all your needs for a bargain.
The Jubilee government to dig deeper and find out whether these Chinese companies are established in their country called China.
Even if local companies try to give the best price, there are allegations that Chinese companies give incentives to ensure that they get the tender.
People are going for tenders and then they're given cuts to give these tenders.
The IMF has blacklisted 2 giant Chinese companies for business improprieties, yet those 2 companies we cannot name for legal reasons are doing big projects in Kenya today. But kickbacks aside, some of these companies have a history of being lax, doing substandard jobs that end up being cheap to construct but expensive to maintain.
You might end up dealing with people who are hawks, people who are not real. People are coming to Kenya to swindle the Kenyan government.
A section of leaders now want the government to regulate its business with Chinese companies. They warn that letting Chinese companies flood into Kenya could water down set rules and regulations set out in the Constitution. Catherine Omanto, KTN.